Proceed to roll my piece. Backwoods and the onion of green. Burn one, take a break in between. Exhale. My stress.
You are listening to Hey, We Don't Mind with show host Wood.
What's going on, everybody? What's happening tonight? It's a nice, still holding on to a little bit of nice weather before we get into the cold stuff. We're a couple of days out from the NBA season starting. Once again, this is your guy, Wood. It's the Pay Me No Mind podcast, as you just heard. Actually, very excited tonight, bringing the first Hoops and Hops installment in quite a while. So I have my co-pilot on here with me, the great Mr. G. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, man?
Not a whole lot, man. We both been out of the pocket.
Yeah.
But our sport is heating up.
It's about time.
So, we got to work on our frequency a little bit. But we will do that in due time. So what's been going on since the last time we heard from you?
Well, I think the last time we had hit one of these, I was on that night shift life. I am back to the real world, back to the day job. Got myself not a 9 to 5, but basically a 10 to 6, give or take 30 minutes, and Saturday and Sunday off. So I'm a happy person right now.
Okay, yeah, that third shift, my last couple of years on that, I was a pretty, I wasn't the greatest guy to be around during that time, so I can totally understand that. Good to have you back.
Appreciate it.
We're gonna get into a lot of NBA, obviously.
It's time.
I know you're excited. I'm actually excited for the first time in a while because I feel like the talent is finally dispersed. Not evenly, maybe, but
there's some talent in the East now.
Right. It's not so lopsided as lopsided as it's been in years past.
Yeah, for sure.
But we'll get into the NBA. Will be the cornerstone part of this podcast. We'll get into that. But we got some introductory topics, a couple of current events in the world of sports and pop culture, and since Ray Donovan was a staple of the show, we'll quickly weigh in on how season 3, I believe, wrapped up. And then we'll also touch on a little segment called, for tonight's purposes, give y'all a little background. We tried to do this show live, and something happened with my microphone and the software I was trying to use.
Technical difficulties.
Right. So we're recording this one again, trying to get it up later tonight. But so that kind of threw everything off here. So we got a little segment we're gonna call it the starting 5 tonight. I think I'm gonna pass the rock over to G and let him run the point, and I'm gonna go to work from the wing for a little bit. And then we got some breaks coming, and then, like I said, the main part of the show will be getting into some NBA topics. So without further ado, I really don't know where to be with this Louisville situation, man. Coach Pitino has had his issues. It has been well documented.
Yep.
And now here he had his problems 2 years ago in that restaurant after hours with the female
side chicks.
And here we go now, learning that strippers were brought into the dorm, the sports dorm, and parties ensued, and young 18 and 19, 17-year-old men were subjected to some
debauchery.
Exactly, debauchery.
Yeah.
So now we're trying to figure out whether or not Pitino knew anything about this or not. Where do you stand on it, G?
So I just heard about this one today, and it was one of those things where I heard it and I was like, yeah, okay. And I literally didn't think twice about it until you brought it up when we were going over topics just now. And I guess my thought is, that's real life. Like, I mean, he happened to use strippers for it as opposed to co-eds and general girls around the campus, but it's just not surprising to me. Like, that's the lifestyle that is always promoted and talked about. Like, when players go on visits, you get some of that. Like, and in this day and age, you got porn stars saying, come to this school and I'll be your quote unquote friend. And it's just not, I guess it, to me, wasn't surprising. If anything, I was surprised that we hadn't heard anything about anybody doing it beforehand.
People just forgot all about the scene that comes to mind is He Got Game.
Yeah.
You know, we just swept that under the rug and just moved past it like that's just Spike being Spike or something.
Right,
but
that was fiction.
Right. But, you know, to me, I can't say it's much ado about nothing because, you know, anytime that somebody in a position of leadership, you entrust them to look out for your son or daughter when they go to that university, and then we find out stuff like, I don't know how mad Pops is, you know, if he found out, you know, his son was there, he might be pulling Junior to the side like, yo, what happened, you know?
Yeah.
How, I mean, you know, he might want some details, but in all seriousness, I don't know if Coach Pitino comes out of this unscathed because of his history, because of the PC nature, you know, the world that we live in right now, and you know, the university presidents and the head of the, you know, the top people on the serious side or the academic side of the program, their hand might be forced. I mean, because this is pretty ugly. And but it's odd that you're just now hearing about it today. And I thought about it before I came over here that it hasn't really picked up the way that I thought it would have picked up by now. So yeah. I don't want to really get too much into that. I missed the stripper being out there or some of her interviews so far. I see McGee, who was the guy, the assistant coach that's been accused of heading all this up. He's quit his job at his current post. I think it said UKMC. I did not look that up, but he quit that job, and it looks like he's trying to go into hiding. Coach Pitino has come out and said that he wishes that McGee would come out and straighten all this up. You know, Brady, that's the route he took, like with the whole Deflategate thing.
Right.
You know, if you don't really have me with my hand in the cookie jar,
I didn't do it.
And I don't know if that's the case here with Pitino, that, you know, he's insulated from this.
I mean, I don't think that it's possible for him to not take some sort of blame for this. Like, right. I think it's impossible to not know it's happening. Now, I'm not going to say that he initiated it or was the cause of, because it's probably, to me, more likely that that's a former player or even maybe a booster of some sort. Like, that's a relationship that I think is, I don't necessarily want to say beneath, but that's not a coach relationship, I don't think. Like, I feel like that's former player, alumni, like, oh, we're going to get guys to come to this school, or you going to play for us, right?
Yeah. The coach is, Pitino is just like, look, this is your role. You know we need people to commit. Right. I don't necessarily need to know the details of what you do.
Exactly.
But this is during the visits. Here, I hand this off to you. You know, like I said, I can't sit here and definitively say what happened. I just think at the end of the day, based on his history, based on the football side, we have Bobby Petrino back in town. Right. He's had his issues, and I just think if this story does sprout legs and continue to, you know,
be an issue
and be a black eye for the university, their hand might be forced. But moving along, man, I'm all off my game, man. Hoops and Hops the hops is all about the craft beer that we enjoy while we talk some of this, talk through our basketball takes and whatnot. And we had kicked around some topics to discuss in depth. I know last time we had the Heineken purchasing Lagunitas.
Right.
Got a little shout out from Lagunitas on that. You did
yay.
Good work there. We don't have anything really well thought out tonight.
Yeah,
based on timing.
There was no real like groundbreaking beer news over the past few weeks. Like there were some releases, some like I guess that's a big thing for our immediate area. We now are on the distribution list for a company named Duclaw, which is famous for Sweet Baby Jesus, an award-winning peanut butter porter. And that is now, we get 4 lines of their beer. That's probably the only relevant, pertinent thing that's happened over the past few weeks. They just broke lines here 2 weeks ago. But outside of that, it's been pretty quiet. But as far as what we're indulging ourselves with tonight, we started out with the last of my Hop Slam ration, which needed to go a long time ago. I got a Green Man Brewing Company IPA, which is out of North Carolina, I believe. And then now we have moved into, we had some technical difficulties, so it allowed us to get through those first couple. And now we've moved into Bell's Planet Series. You are currently enjoying Phrasing Pause Uranus.
Yeah, son.
A black IPA, and I am partaking in Neptune, which is their stout in the Planetary Series.
I actually had I guess that's the proper term, but a black IPA by 21st Amendment.
Sure.
And that was the first like dark beer that I've had in the IPA category, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
Brew Free or Die Hard, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it wasn't too bad. That was one thing I was going to mention to you before we jump back into these last current events. I just thought I mentioned earlier, just haphazardly, that prior to getting into the IPAs and you know, without going towards a Heineken or some of the earlier stuff that I was into, I always preferred my beer to be in long necks or bottles.
Right.
And for some reason, man, the last month and a half, I have been riding hard with just grabbing me some beer that's in a can, and instead of mixing up a 6-pack with bottles, man, I've just been a big fan of just grabbing these cans lately. I don't know if that's due to the artwork. I mean, I'm pouring, I'm not drinking out of that can, right. But for some reason, the can game has been...
It's prevalent right now. Like, it's hard to go out and not almost be overwhelmed by the amount of cans as opposed to even just 6 months ago.
Okay.
So the whole thought process is, so first let's start with bottles. So all of your craft beer is going to come in a tinted bottle. Brown, some of them go a few darker shades of brown, but for the most part, it's a brown tinted glass bottle. That being because manufacturers want to keep sunlight away from the beer. UV rays skunk beer. So when you get like a bottle of Corona or to a degree even Heineken with the green bottle, it still allows some light to expose or allows the beer to be exposed to some light, and it literally creates a process that forms a chemical reaction that gives you the exact same molecular compound structure of a skunk when they release their odor.